Most sons, at one point, believe their old man knows everything. A few years later, they're certain he knows absolutely nothing. Finally, they realize he's smarter than they ever knew. I wore leg braces long before my memory began. Cold steel, leather straps, heavy, clunky. They squeaked when wet. Hearing the shrill peeps, my dad slid a little red straw in a can of oil and sprayed the joints. I'd wake in the middle of the night, barely able to breathe, wheezing as my father carried me out to the back stoop for some unsullied air. My father built me my own clubhouse in the backyard. I even aided him as best I could, then quickly renamed it my office. Jenny hung out with me a lot in the office. Having her femininity grace that place was a godsend. One time, we were on the carpet making out, and my dad knocked on the door, expecting to share our usual bottle of pop. When I appeared disheveled and explained Jenny and I were doing homework, my dad said, "I'm a grown man, I know what you were doing." My dad became known as the Bee Man. 4 Country Reporter came out and interviewed him for their statewide TV show. Bob Phillips, who still does the show, now titled Texas Country Reporter, brought honey back for his entire crew. It pleased my dad, not long after, when Chip Moody, then head anchor for KXAS, the NBC affiliate in Dallas-Fort Worth, asked my father for a squeezable honey bear filled with his honey. Mr. Moody had always been my dad's favorite. He'd get nervous around celebrities like Bobby Wygant, the local film critic, or Jim Wacker, the TCU football coach who lived 2 houses down from us. Until the subject of his bees came up, then my dad made friends trouble-free. My father contributed a lot on that movie. He constructed the riggings for Rancor and Itch that made our legs appear undersized.
There she is! Get out!
He built a portable black background we moved around to cover various angles. I remember screening a rough cut for him. Seeing it wrinkled his eyes with a smile and then another smile. He laughed at the humor and loved the movie. Not only had I justified his building the office, I felt, but also his faith in me for co-signing the loan to get the editors. He lived to see the beginnings of my raw talent. Watching him watch shadow games remains one of the happiest half hours of my life. Carrie Sims had an overflow of work and asked if I wanted to take one of his jobs, to videotape the 50th wedding anniversary of Bill King, famous in the Metroplex for Bill King's Braco, a brake company service. My father even agreed to lend a hand. Large open spaces, soft lighting, men in tuxedos, women in elegant dinner dresses. It was my first taste of how the affluent lived. It had proved a nightmare for us. Not only were our lights on stands, they required a wall socket to work. What we needed for the diffused decor was a battery-powered light mounted on the camera. Avoiding the low wick of indecision, my father and I went in search of portable illumination. We hiked from one side of Dallas's sprawling Galleria Mall to the other. No camera light existed within miles. We checked other places before admitting defeat. My dad never criticized us, never made one disparaging comment. I've known more than one father who would have ripped their kids to shreds for being so ignorant of the tools needed to properly do a job. We felt bad enough. My dad even shared the blame, saying on the drive home, "I should have gotten a camera light when I bought you the rig." I can't overstate this point. Having parents who nurtured my efforts, who provided stability even when I faltered, made all the difference in my self-esteem and what I believed I could do later in life.